Welcome to the next Scooter Hub video. We have two brand new scooters.
The more expensive one, which is the Unagi Model 1 E500, and the budget one, which is the Xiaomi 1S.
So the Unagi comes in at around £650 and the Xiaomi at around £300. So we want to be comparing to see, is it worth spending that extra amount of money? Is it worth going £300 more to get the Unagi over the Xiaomi 1S? Watch all of these tests and you'll find out if it is. So before we get into the testing, we need to set them to their max modes to really test the benchmark. Due to light conditions, we've jumped inside just so you can see with ease what we're doing on the displays. So with the Unagi, we're setting this to dual motor mode and on its third range, which is its highest speed mode, which is the equivalent to the Xiaomi sport mode. Now with the Xiaomi, we've just set this to sport mode. That's its highest mode. It doesn't have dual motor.
Xiaomi will be on sport mode and the Unagi will be mode free with the dual motor mode on. We go into the speed test and we start with the Unagi. This electric scooter has a dual motor mode, which makes it absolutely fly off the mark and have fantastic acceleration and get to its top speed very quickly. So you can see it makes quick work of the speed test, crosses the line in 9.26 seconds and achieved a top speed of 16 miles per hour. It's an absolute machine. Now we move on to the cheapest scooter out of the two, the Xiaomi 1S. Now this scooter does have the same top speed as the Unagi, but the acceleration and actually getting to that top speed takes so much longer. And of course that's due to it not having its dual motors. So you can see here it crosses the line at 12.26 seconds and it doesn't even achieve its top speed of 15.5 miles per hour. Now we compare them, put them side by side so you can see them live in action. Now the Unagi kicks off with its dual motors flying ahead. It really does make it worth that extra bit of money if you are buying a scooter for speed. Now on to the hill test. We have two levels and we're going to start for the first one and we put the Unagi on it. So Unagi flies off the mark again with its acceleration and makes quick work of the gravel and flies up the hill without any issue. Let's move on to level 2. A bit steeper, can it do it? Here we go. Off to a big start, flies off the mark and it shoots up the hill again without any trouble. Easy. So if you are off-roading, it's worth the extra money for the Unagi. So we wanted to try it downhill and see what the brakes are like. It's got a foot brake on the back, which kind of reminds me of those old scooters you'd have when you were a kid, and I absolutely love that feature. So now we put the Xiaomi onto the hill test level 1. It has a nice big start. Those air-filled tyres really do make the suspension nice off-road, but it does struggle to come up the hill. Doesn't even make it to the top, but we're going to put it against level 2 just to see if it shines. Now we have a big start here and the hill is very steep to start off with, but you can see the Xiaomi doesn't make it any distance. So we give the Xiaomi a second attempt to see if it's going to make it. But I do have to say, if you are planning on off-roading, you have to go with the Unagi. It's worth spending that extra bit of money because it absolutely makes quick work of hills and off-roading. So now we test the Xiaomi down the hill and it makes quick work of downhills whilst off-roading. The air-filled tyres do make for a really nice and smooth drive. In this section, I'm going to be talking over each part of the scooter and giving it a quick overview and my opinion on which one I prefer and why. You can get both these electric scooters on scooterhub.com plus a huge range of others. It's important to note that even though the Unagi is a lot more money than the Xiaomi is a really solid build and a brilliant budget scooter. So let's get right into the comparison. We'll start off by looking at the more unique tyres of the Unagi. These tyres come in at 19 centimeters and are made of solid rubber, meaning there can never be a puncture. The tyres also work as a suspension with those tiny air pockets being built into them. Whereas the Xiaomi has bigger tyres coming in at 21.6 centimeters, these are air-filled tyres and they are puncture resistant. I found that the Xiaomi's tyres led to a more comfortable ride compared to the Unagi. Of course, the Unagi being puncture-proof is brilliant, but the ride itself is more important. With that being said, the Xiaomi really outshone the Unagi with the tyres. Both these scooters have incredible grip on the decks, keeping you in the same position throughout the ride you're not going to budge whilst zooming along. I measured the areas where you would normally put your feet, and I wanted to compare the size of the decks. The Unagi came in at 12 centimeters wide by 47 centimeters wide, and the Xiaomi comes in at 14 centimeters wide by 40 centimeters wide. I personally preferred the Xiaomi's deck because it's a little bit bigger and it seemed to be a lot more dirt resistant. One of the biggest issues I had with the Unagi was that no matter what I did, it just seemed to attract dirt and it was very difficult to clean compared to the Xiaomi. So the Xiaomi wins the deck. So to compare the handlebars, the Unagi has very clean and minimal handlebars. You'd expect them to have less grip, but they're really grippy and your hands aren't going to move whilst holding onto them. The Xiaomi has more of your classic electric scooter look, with the little bumps on the rubber of the handlebars, but they're really comfortable to hold and allow you to have fantastic grip. Now to move on to the brakes. The Unagi does have a classic scooter foot brake on the back, which I like to say reminds me of those old scooters you used to get, but I don't like the position of its main brake. And I found it to be quite aggressive, the Unagi brake, compared to the Xiaomi that has your standard, what I like to call a bike brake, where it's coming over the back of the handlebar, very easy to use, very easy to grab, allows for easy braking, and it's a lot easier to manage. So the Xiaomi does win on the brakes. Now we move on to the displays. Both of the displays are built perfectly into the handlebars, no bezels, very clean design. They both allow you to change the modes and very easily see all the information you need. But my favourite one has to go to the Unagi. I love that it's a little bit bigger. I love that it almost curves around the back of the handlebars, so it's like the screen shouldn't even be there, it's just a perfect fit. Now the only difference is that the Unagi has an extra button on the right of the handlebar which changes the speed between 1 and 3, which is the equivalent of the Xiaomi's pedestrian, drive and sport. So the Unagi takes a display. So in conclusion guys, the Unagi Model 1 E500 is the more expensive scooter and the Xiaomi 1S is the cheaper scooter. Both of these scooters in their own rights are fantastic for their price points. But of course, the point of today's video was to see what extras you were getting for that extra bit of money. Now, the Unagi Model 1 won all of the main tests, which in my opinion are the most important. So that extra bit of money gives you the better speed, better acceleration, better incline, and better off-roading. Now, of course, that is mainly just to do with the Unagi's dual motor mode. That absolutely sends the Unagi off the mark and it can fly through nearly all terrains. So I have to say the Unagi gets giant points for all of its speed capabilities with that dual motor. That is the biggest selling point, in my opinion, of that scooter, and it basically makes it worth that extra bit of money. Now, the Xiaomi 1S certainly hasn't lost, guys. I just needed to say that it is definitely worth spending that extra bit of money for the Unagi Model 1. But if we go into the Xiaomi 1S, in its right, it's a fantastic scooter. The tyres I prefer over the Unagi's. The tyres just allowed for a lot of a cleaner run. The deck was bigger and easier to clean and didn't just attract endless amounts of dirt. The brakes were easier to use as well. The actual look and feel, I preferred the Xiaomi. So congratulations to the Unagi. It really is worth that extra bit of money if you want a solid scooter for off-roading, speed, accelerations, but definitely mainly if you want that big speed boost. However, the Xiaomi 1S should not be overlooked. It's a fantastic budget scooter, and if you are on a budget, I do recommend you grab the Xiaomi 1S, but if you have that little bit of extra to spend, go and grab the Unagi Model 1 E500. Thank you all for watching today's video. I hope you've enjoyed the comparison. Leave a comment down below and let me know what your favourite budget scooter is and what scooter you'd want to get if you could splash out on one. If you do want to grab one of today's electric scooters or a huge range of others, make sure you visit scooterhub.com. We have a huge range of electric scooters and kick scooters. We have amazing offers, amazing deals, offer 1 to 2 day UK delivery, so make sure you check out scooterhub.com. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and comment down below which electric scooter you preferred from today's video, the Xiaomi or the Unagi. Thank you all for watching.